money trying to innovate those components. You can already see spec parts on the 2022 cars with the wheel covers, fuel flow meters, radios and rear lights being the same up and down the grid. To help any new engine suppliers that decide to join, there's currently a freeze on engine development until the end of 2025. Additionally, the FIA is considering introducing a separate power unit cost cap to prevent teams going over budget, but the exact amount hasn't been announced just yet. Although there's currently a budget cap of $140 million this season, excluding driver salaries, there's currently no restriction on how much engine suppliers are spending to develop their power units. Fuel. What powers F1 cars is another key focus for 2026. You've probably gathered by now there's a lot of focuses. It's already been announced that the cars will be switching to 100% sustainable synthetic fuel, rather than going down the all-electric route of Formula E. This season saw the introduction of E10 fuel, made from 90% fossil fuel and 10% renewable ethanol from plant waste. The 2026 fuels will either be made via a carbon capture system, municipal waste, or non-food biomass, which could include algae or agricultural waste and, importantly for teams, their drop-in fuels. This means they won't need to alter their engines in order to use them. On the environmental side, F1 has a goal of being net zero carbon by 2030, and these synthetic fuels should go a long way to helping reaching that goal. They're estimated to save at least 65% greenhouse gas emissions compared to regular petrol. However, this change doesn't rule out the possibility of F1 exploring the potential for hydrogen-powered engines when it develops its next set of regulations for the 2030s. But we'll get onto that a little bit closer to the time. Fuel.
everyone, and welcome back to... Wait a minute. There's something not quite right here. That's better. Let me get myself in shot. Get myself framed and in shot. See, a little bit over to the right, a little bit over to the left there, Dave. Push your chair up. Oh, God, I really should have done this before I started, shouldn't I? I'd be all prepared now. This is definitely not the However channel. Definitely not the However channel. Let's get the microphone sorted. To put that a little bit over to there. Put it down there. Put that up a little bit like that, so you can't quite only just see the microphone like that. There you go. Oh God, this is so unprofessional. Put your shirt collar down as well, for God's sake. Oh God, I'll never be as good as those big F1 YouTubers, lads, will I? I'll never be as good as those big F1 YouTubers. It's like I just literally just got out of bed and come in and started this stream. That's what it looks like. Anyway, hello everyone and welcome to the show from me and Mr. TB the Bear. TB the Bear. TB the Bear. Yes, we're back again for more Formula 1 shenanigans because it's back. Let's put TB down there a minute. It's back. Yes, F1 is back. And yes, it's time for Hungary. Are we hungry for some points? Oh, that joke never gets old. That never gets old, that joke. Well, maybe it does. Let's turn my tablet on and see if there's anyone out there in the internet land. Anyone in the internet land? Probably not. Probably not. We will see. Let's have a look, see if we got anyone before I start waffling. Come on, tablet. I tell a lie, we got Matthew 7657. Good evening, sir. Welcome to the stream. He says, when are you going to take that sticker off T-Bit? Never. No, it's going to stay on there forever. Yes. Well, it won't stay on there forever because eventually it will just deteriorate into nothing. But here he is with his WTF1 sticker. Yes, because he's still in love with all those crazy guys over there, aren't you? Yes, yes. What's that you say? Why haven't you made any more WTF1 videos? Well, to put it simply, TB, there is a quite big reason, and that's the fact that they've reached such a level of blandness that there's really nothing that I can even take the piss out of with them anymore. No, they've really just fallen off the cliff, hit every branch on the way down, and they're right at the bottom of the cliff now. Yeah, and they're crying up now and going, please. Please, somebody call an ambulance, please, please. Yes, so there's really very little that I can do to take the piss out of them. Then, of course, they completely stopped broadcasting on Twitch. Yes, which was one of the main places I used to get all my WTF1 stuff from. I'm sure they did it on purpose. I am sure they've done it on purpose just to stop me. Yes, there's no more live Twitches because, well, nobody was watching them, basically. And they did make a lot of mistakes. Yes, a lot of mistakes, which isn't too bad when you're live. But, you know, when you've got a lot of viewers, it's not good to make that many mistakes, is it, TB? So, yeah, that's basically it. And now they're just, I don't know what they're doing. They're just humming along, aren't they? Yes, but there's just... I just can't even find anything to take the piss out of them. Purely because they're just... Nah. Dave, you need to up your league rating pace. You're supposed to be an F1 YouTube gamer. Whoever said I was an F1 YouTube gamer? I've never admitted that at all. No. The only thing I will admit to is that I'm an idiot. Yes, that I will admit to. But apart from being anything else, no, that's not me at all. I'm not an F1 anything. No. I won't even say I'm an F1 YouTuber. No, just in case everything goes wrong, I can get away with it and say, don't do it with me. I never touched it. No. So, yeah, I dispute the fact that I'm an F1 YouTuber. No. Anyway, we've got the Grand Prix on Sunday, of course, at Hungary. And there's been a little bit of F1 news over the past 2 weeks since the break. Nothing new, but just a little bit of news. Of course, we've had the fallout from Nick de Vries getting his sacking from AlphaTauri. There's been a lot of debate over that, a lot of huge comments from lots of people, and of course everyone's expecting now Daniel Ricciardo on Sunday to actually win the race in the AlphaTauri, because that's how much expectation everyone has got. It's just exploded into this microcosm of awesomeness, which I really don't get. We will see on Sunday. I'm still predicting 17th place finish for Daniel Ricciardo in that AlphaTauri. That's my prediction. We will see if that pans out or not. But as to him being this great saviour from the sky, brought down to, save Formula One and get it back on, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry. No. I can see why Helmut Marko made the decision that he did make, because Nick de Vries finished the last race in 17th position, and he was like, that can't go on. But, I mean, Yuki Tsunoda didn't do that much better either, to be honest. And after 11 races, I don't think that's enough to judge, someone's overall performance. I think you should have at least given him a season. But unfortunately, of course, the seasons are very long these days. Now, back in the days when you only had, 17 or 18 races, a lot of the drivers were given a full season to show that sort of potential. But when you've got a situation where there's 23 or 24 races and your driver's not doing very well, that's a very long time, and a lot of races where you're not getting your team in the position it needs to be in. So, yeah, decisions now have to be made at halfway points during the season. I mean, they have been for quite a few years, to be fair, but they have to make decisions now at the halfway point as to whether the driver's going to carry on or not. And unfortunately for Nick de Vries, it was the computer said no. Or should I say Helmut Marko said no. And so Nick de Vries is out of Formula One, and sadly, I think out of the F1 sport for good, because I don't think any team will be employing his services in the future, which is a shame. He'll have places to go, hopefully, and so, I doubt he'll be out of motorsport. Unlike, as I do a little segue here, Nicholas Latifi, who has confirmed in the last few days that he is leaving motorsport for good. Yes, of course, Nicholas Latifi has been the butt of many people's jokes for the few years that he was in Formula One, but now he's decided to call it a day, because obviously very little chance of him getting back into Formula One. He could possibly have got back into a Williams in a couple of years if they were desperate for drivers, but I really can't see it. And so he's obviously decided that motorsport now is not for him. So he is now gone from Formula One, and I think motorsport in general. So I don't know what he's going to do in the future. But it's pretty sad news, I have to say. Even though, he wasn't a very good driver and had very little potential. Still sad when someone who's giving it a go, because that's the most important thing. He gave it a go, announces that, no, that's it for me. So there you go. Now, of course, the other bit of news that's been coming out in the last couple of weeks is, of course, these new 2026 cars. Now, I've got a little news junket here just to explain the cars, because this has only come out the last couple of days. There's been a lot of speculation, but let's actually have a look at this little report here we've got from First Sports, I think it is. Make myself a little bit smaller. F1 set to introduce radical changes to the gearbox and fuel load in the 2026 season. This is what intrigued me. The 2026 F1 regulations will include sustainable fuels. Well, that's nothing new. We've been using sustainable fuels for quite a few years now. So basically this is, fuels made from renewable sources. But the most intriguing two parts that I've seen in the last few days is that the MG UK motor generator unit kinetic, that's that bit that constantly fails when you're doing the F1 games, yes, as well as the ICE, the internal combustion engine, the next part that always fails the quickest is the MG UK. It's very bloody annoying, very annoying. Anyway, currently contributes 120 kilowatts to the power unit. In 2026, it would be 350 kilowatts. So that's over double the power that it's got now. The major change would have consequences as the weight of the units will increase from 40 kilograms to 190 kilograms. That's a hefty old chunk difference to what it is now. That really is. I mean, it doesn't seem a lot, kilograms, but in the scope of a Formula 1 car, that is huge, absolutely huge. According to reports, the 2026 car will be powered by biofuel as part of F1's net zero efforts to reduce carbon emissions. Now notice they use different words in the same sentence there. It says F1's net zero and it says efforts to reduce carbon emissions. So they're not admitting that they're going to reach net zero, but they're going to try to by, reducing carbon emissions. But then everyone could say that, couldn't they? So yeah, this net zero, which I've said all along is never going to happen by, is it 2030? I think it is. Yeah, 2030, that the whole of the world is going to produce zero emissions. Just think about that for a moment. We know that is never going to happen. We're not even going to get close to zero emissions by 2030. But of course, we are going to have reduced emissions by 2030, which is what I've always said should be done anyway. We should always be reducing our emissions. That's fine. I haven't got a problem with that. But putting yourself that higher pedestal of having zero emissions, it's just crazy. It really is crazy. I mean, they're banning petrol cars from 2030, but that doesn't mean every single petrol car in 2030 is going to actually get this big James Bond style helicopter is going to come down with a big clamp on it and grab hold of your petrol car in 2030, pull it off the road and stick it straight into the compactor and say, that's it, no more bloody petrol car for you. That isn't going to happen, is it? So there will still be petrol cars for 10, 15, 20 years after 2030. Yes, and those cars will be producing emissions. So already that makes a mockery of this net zero. Yeah, all it means is that from 2030, no more petrol cars will be made. So slowly over time, the amount of cars will reduce as they break down and get scrapped. They will slowly reduce. And then, of course, we'll have the electric bullshit will come in, or the hybrid, which is I've always championed for, and I think is a much better system than a fully electric car, because electric cars are shit. Let's be blunt, they are shit. They really are. Hybrid has always been the way forward, but no, due to the government being on its high pedestal about emissions and what have you, the government's actually pushed for complete electric cars when they should have been pushing for hybrid cars. I mean, it's the simplest thing ever. You haven't got to go to a stupid recharging station, recharge your car every, I don't know what it is, 200 miles. If your battery's starting to wear out, it'll be like 100 miles as much as you can get. It's just ridiculous. It really is ridiculous. With a hybrid car, you use the battery, and as soon as the battery gets low, the petrol engine kicks in and recharges the battery. And that's it. How much simpler could it be? Okay, but the petrol engine only kicks in when the battery's almost flat. So the actual amount of emissions it's throwing out into the atmosphere is very, very low. Because as soon as the battery's recharged again, the petrol engine then cuts out and it goes back to the battery. And of course, then you've got no problems with having to charge your car every 200 miles. All you have to do is put petrol in it. And I believe that they have 6 or 7 gallon tanks in those hybrid cars, and it lasts for bloody ages because you're only using the petrol engine at very short periods of time. So, the actual amount of fossil fuels you're using also is very low, which contributes to the fact that, in 50 years' time, we're going to run out of gas and oil and what have you, allegedly. Although some are now saying it could last for 100 years. But who knows? But yeah, so hybrid car has always been the best idea as far as I've been concerned. But no, our illustrious governments have decided no, electric's the way to go. Anyway, I won't go on about that because there's plenty of videos on YouTube about electric cars. Go check them out. They're a lot better than what I'm saying right here. So, as per reports, the cars must use only 30 kilograms of fuel to generate electric power. Now, a few people on the internet, especially on Twitter, which is understandable, have got a little bit confused, and they thought that that means that the cars will be electric from 2026. That's not going to be the case. There will still be a combustion engine in the back of an F1 car from 2026, which is great news for me because, as I said, the moment they switch to electric only is when I will stop watching Formula One. I don't care if it's got a little tiny lawnmower engine in the back of that F1 car. As long as there is an engine in the back of it, I will continue to watch. But after that, as soon as it goes electric, I'm out of here. We all know from like about 2032, the Formula E series and the F1 series is going to probably amalgamate, or they're going to get rid of Formula E, and then that will be the Formula One series. We know that's going to happen. It's got to happen because there won't be any petrol engines from 2030, and because they've been banned in the UK, from 2030. I'd be very interested to know how they're going to run the Silverstone Grand Prix, because you're not allowed to, have petrol engines. Very interested to know how that works. But of course, as I've said earlier, people with cars, petrol cars, will still be running them. So, you're not going to get a situation where your car's going to get destroyed because you've got a petrol engine. But I'd just be interested to see that, getting all those cars to a circuit in a new situation, should they be allowed to run, basically? I don't know. We will find out in about 2030 when all this comes into effect. And by then, everyone will change their minds and they'll say, oh, well, we won't go for net zero. We'll try for 2050 for net zero, because we know it's not going to work. So, yes, there will still be a petrol engine in the back of the car in 2026, which is great news. But they can only use now 30 kilograms of fuel, which means the electric system on the F1 car will be used even more than what it is now, because obviously the actual MG UK has been increased. So, yeah, it will be sort of like a hybrid series with electric and the combustion as well. It's going along those lines of the hybrid series. The electric power will definitely be used a hell of a lot more. And the combustible power will drop by almost 200 horsepower. That would be very significant, but when you've got that being made up in electric power, it doesn't really make much difference. So it's down from 760 to 570 horsepower. But as I say, because you've got the electric systems there, it really won't make much difference. I did read a report, though. They said it could be, the cars could run between 50 and 70 miles an hour slower during the race. I mean, that's still got to be confirmed. Nobody will know that until 2026 and the actual cars go out onto the circuit. So we won't actually know whether that's going to be a case. And I think if it's like 50 to 70 miles an hour slower, it won't be very long before the engineers will, back engineer that to about 30 miles an hour slower down the straights in total. So we won't really notice much difference, because we've had seasons where there's been big regulation changes and the cars have, been forced to slow down quite a lot in previous seasons. So we probably won't notice that out on the track. I mean, if the cars now, I think, do a top speed of about 220 miles an hour, if they're going to top out at 200 miles an hour, it's not really going to make much difference to us, the viewers at home watching. There really isn't going to be a lot of difference at all. In fact, I doubt we'd even notice that they were going, 20 miles an hour slower. So that I don't see as a problem. Although the system performance would mostly remain the same, yeah. So it would still be doing the same performance, just lower horsepower. But of course, that's, the more modern engines get anyway, they manage to get the same performance out of lower horsepowers anyway. This has been going on for like decades now. Now, this is very intriguing, this part for me. Gearboxes will now have 6 gears instead of 8. So we're going backwards to the good old days of F1. Is it 2004? I think it was when we had 6 gears. Now this means that the torque curve for the gearbox is now going to be a lot higher, because obviously we've only 6 gears to choose from, whereas 8 you could pretty much, go through those gears pretty quick, and the torque curve was very low because you always had 8 gears to fall back on. With 6 gears, it's a lot more difficult, and I think the drivers are going to really have a hard job adapting to that. At first, obviously, they'll get used to it after a few races, but at the start, I mean, once you go from 8 to 6, your instinct is to, still get up the gears as quick as possible. That's always, your mentality when you're driving a racing car. You've got to get up those gears as quick as possible. Now, of course, if they do that, they'll be in 6th gear way before they need to be. And so, yeah, they're really going to have to sort of adapt their driving style. But I'm sure they'll have that sussed pretty quickly. But it's still a step down. Still a step down. I remember when it was 6 gears. Then I remember when it went to 7 gears. And, of course, it went to 8 gears in 2014, was it, when the hybrid cars came out? I think that was when it went to 8 gears. Yes, it was. F1 2014. I remember that, yeah. Because I remember saying at the time, the only good thing about this game is it's got an extra gear on it. But apart from that, yeah, that's going to have to, the drivers are going to have to get used to that. And unfortunately, in the F1 games, that's going to be a bit of a pain as well, especially people who use manual gearboxes, because, yeah, changing gear manually is a learning curve, and now we've got to unlearn that and undo our muscle memories and go back to the old days of when it used to be. I mean, I used to love 6 gears. I really did used to love 6 gears. So for me, it might be even better. Yeah, I might end up faster in F1 2026. Shut up now. Shut up. So the cars will have I've talked about that before, and the wheelbase as well will be shortened by 30 centimeters. 30 centimeters. Now, have I got a tape measure with me here? I don't think I have. But 30 centimeters. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. And once again, due to regulation changes, there's been lots of situations where we've had wheelbases shortened on the cars, wheelbases lengthened on the cars. I mean, the cars now are horrendous in their, overall length and width, in fact, because they're really tough to get around Monaco now, whereas in the old days it used to be easy. So, yeah, that's quite welcome, I think, having the wheelbase a little bit shorter. Definitely. I think that's a welcome addition. The maximum output would no longer be determined by the fuel, but by the energy. The regulations will include a new F1 gearbox with 6 gears instead of 8. Currently, there are 7 forward gears and 1 reverse gear. However, F1 cars used to have 6 gears before. That's not right, is it? That's not right, is it? There's 8 gears, isn't there? Forward gears. Sure there is. I'm sure there is. I could be wrong there. Christian Horner, sounds like he's not happy, suggested that the internal combustion engine should not become a generator for charging the battery. He wants to correct the ratio of electric to combustion power by 5 to 10% minimum. He claims it would be better for the chassis rules. However, many believe his criticism is based on the fact that he might not have a good technical plan. Of course everyone is going to say that. What else have we got? Just looking down, because this seems to be quite a bit of F1 news here. Lewis Hamilton thinks Red Bull can dominate the sport until 2026. Well, that's pretty much a given, isn't it? Pretty much a given. So there you go. There is that little report there about the regulation changes. Let's put up the points now and see where we are after our little after our little break. So I'm just looking for the points. F1 2023. Driver points, if you please. Because I haven't actually looked at these points for quite a few weeks now. So let's have a look. I think it was just before we started the back-to-back races when I last looked at these points. So let's have another look at these points and see where we are in the championship right now. Well, there you go. No need to mention the fact that Max Verstappen is winning the championship at the moment with 255 points. Looking very close to winning the championship. Now, I'm standing by my prediction, which is that Max will win it with 9 races still left to go. That's a very bold prediction. I don't even think that's going to work in points, but I said it at the start of the season, so I stand by it. So, you know, you can all call me a chump when it doesn't work, but I'm not going to backtrack on it now, but I'm still going to say he's going to win the championship with 9 races left. So there you go. Sergio Perez is in second place with 156 points. Fernando Alonso is in third place with 130. It's just unbelievable to see an Aston Martin there in third place. Unfortunately, it looks like the development path of Aston Martin at the moment is dropping off a little bit. As I said at the start of the season, I expected Aston Martin to do well out of the gate, but as other teams develop their cars, I did predict that Aston Martin may start to drop off in performance. And if you look at the last couple of rounds, definitely that has been the case. But we will see. We will see. No one discount Fernando Alonso ever, because he's a powerhouse. And so, you know, he may pull it back. As for Lance Stroll, well, I think Lance's true performance is starting to shine through these last few races, and that is not very well. Lulu! We got Lulu in fourth, everyone, with 121 World Championship points, and he loves every one of those little points, you know. He loves all of them. Yes, he takes them out to dinner every night, all those little points. Yes. Hello, point 1. No, you sit there, point 1. Point 2, you sit there. Point 3, you sit there. That's it. Point 4, behave yourself now. Don't be cheeky. Point 5, over here. You sit there. That's it. Point 6, you sit over there. So, yeah. Lulu in 4th. Carlos Sainz in 5th in the Ferrari. The first Ferrari. Yes, the first Ferrari in the table with 83 World Championship points. So he's actually beaten Charles Leclerc. That's very disappointing. I didn't even know. Bloody hell, by almost half the points he's beaten Charles. No, sorry, I got that wrong. I was looking at Lance Stroll with 44. No, he's not too far behind. 74-83. That's not a lot. That's not a lot. And then we got in 6th place George Russell. George of the Russell is in 6th position with 82 points. Charles Leclerc in 7th with 74. Lance Stroll in 8th with 44. That's quite a huge gap between him and Charles Leclerc. So I don't think Lance Stroll's got any chance at the moment of improving on his position. One thing he's got to look very closely over his shoulder at is Lando Norris. Lando Norris, he's on 42, just 2 points behind Lance Stroll. He's got to be very careful there, because if Lando's performance continues as it did at Silverstone, he could well be overtaken by Lando Norris. Esteban Ocon in the Alpine is currently in 10th with 31. So let's have a look at the losers and woosers then and see what we're doing at the moment. Right, we've got Oscar Pastry, currently in 11th place with 17 points. Quite a big gap between him and Esteban Ocon, so I can't see Oliver's Pastry going up there very much indeed. That's going to be a bit of a struggle, considering, you know, the amount of points he's going to get each race. Even though he's in the McLaren, it's rather doubtful with, you know, more than about 5 or 6 points every race. So catching Esteban's going to be a bit of a stretch. We've got Pierre Gasly in 12th position in the other Alpine with 16 points. He's had quite a disappointing season at Alpine, hasn't he? Look at that. Almost half a points gap between him and Esteban. Very disappointing. Alexander Albon has had a great season at Williams, it has to be said. Yes, 11 points. Well done, Alexander. Really, that's just amazing. I mean, years ago, Williams would have been up there, but we know Williams were a back marker, so to get it up there is pretty amazing. Well done, Alexander Albon. Nico Hulkenberg, he's had a pretty meh season, hasn't he, Nico? The super sub from a few years ago. He's only in there with 9 points in the Haas. Yeah, not really, a very good scorecard there for Nico Hulkenberg. And then we go to Valtteri Bottas. Terrible season for Valtteri. Look at that, just 5 points on the board at the Alfa Romeo Ferrari team. And don't forget, of course, was it last year or the year before? He started doing great in the races. He was like getting 5th and 6th, wasn't he? And just look at him now. I don't know what has happened to Valtteri Bottas. Has he reached that position where he's just basically taking the money and running with it and saying, I can't be bothered with this. Just give me my cash. Give me my cash and that's it. Because his form has definitely dropped off horribly there. And then we've got Guan Yu Zhou, who's currently just behind him with 4 points in the other. So both those cars really have done appallingly. That's to be said. So far, we're just over the halfway point of the season. Both those cars have done appallingly. There's nothing else you can say about that. Really, really, really bad. Considering the potential they had. And of course, don't forget, you've got Audi, to be taking over that team in 2026. They're going to be looking at this now and, they don't want this to happen. They don't want to take over this team in 2026 and have the team in 2025 putting in performances of only, getting like a dozen points in the championship. They're not going to be happy with that. So, not good. Not good for Valtteri or Guan Yu Zhou. But then, of course, we've got Yuki Tsunoda, who in the AlphaTauri, if we consider the AlphaTauri, I think has been the worst performing car in the championship so far. I really do think the AlphaTauri has been terrible. He's managed to get 2 points as old Yuki, so well done to him. Kevin Magnussen, once again, has had another very disappointing season. Only 2 points in the Haas. And then, of course, we go to the complete loservilles of the championship. I'm sorry to say, but it has to be said. And that is Logan Sargent, who, has certainly realised his potential at Williams. In other words, no potential whatsoever. I really can't see Logan Sargent staying on until next year. Notice though that Williams haven't got rid of Logan Sargent because, as I say, because of their team and because it's at the back of the grid and they haven't got the money or the resources, they'd rather just keep Logan until the end of the year and then ditch him then and find another driver. They really haven't got the money to start going into the driver pool to try and start buying new drivers to replace him. But Logan Sargent, serious disappointment. I've seen nothing of him on track all season, even though I only get the highlights. I've not seen a thing about Logan Sargent. I really haven't. So he's done a really disappointing season, has to be said. And then, of course, sadly, we got Nick de Vries also without scoring a single point in that sister AlphaTauri. And of course, we now know he is out of the sport and being replaced by the great big white hope elephant, Daniel Ricciardo. The honey badger returns in that AlphaTauri, as I say. He'll be getting 17th place in the race at Hungary. So there you go. Those are the points at the moment. Fantastic. Right, let's go to your comments. I can stop waffling for 5 minutes. Oops, I haven't quite made myself big enough. There you go. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. Will F1 Gaming, hello sir, welcome to the stream. He says Ricardo will finish last on Sunday. Just you wait and see. Oh, that's a nice prediction. I like that. You're saying he's going to finish last. Well, that would be tragic, wouldn't it? Absolutely tragic. I wouldn't be laughing at that because I wouldn't laugh at any driver in that sort of circumstance. But it would be just reward for Nick de Vries, wouldn't it, if Daniel Ricciardo finishes last at Hungary. Now, of course, Hungary is a very tight and twisty circuit. It doesn't suit some of the cars either, and I'm pretty sure it's not going to suit the AlphaTauri. If you're pretty down on performance, then a track that's tight and twisty is not what you want. You need something with long straights where your deficiencies, in the performance of the car are sort of equaled out a little bit because you can, if you've got any sort of horsepower in the car, because what's the actual it's the Honda, isn't it, in the back of the AlphaTauri? Yeah, so that's obviously the same engine as in the Red Bull. Only it will be like last year's iteration, won't it? It'll be last year's Red Bull in the back of that. So engine-wise, there shouldn't be anything wrong with that AlphaTauri. So it's basically just in the handling, the chassis performance, and going for the twisty bits, which is going to be the problem for the AlphaTauri. Whereas if you get on tracks with long straights like Monza, with that Honda engine in the back, it'll sort of equal out the deficiencies you get in the turning. Now, of course, in Hungary, this is not going to be the case because it's very tight and twisty. So yes, I think the AlphaTauris are going to suffer horribly at Hungary, and your prediction of being last place for Daniel Ricciardo could be correct, young Mr. Will. We will see. We will see what happens after Sunday. But yeah, you could be very right there. I'm expecting absolutely nothing from Ricciardo. Yep. Matthew says, I think Ricciardo will beat Yuki, but he won't get the Red Bull seat. Yeah, I agree with you there. There's a lot of controversy going on about what's going to happen at Red Bull. Everyone wants to get rid of Sergio Perez, but has he been that bad, really? Has he been that bad? He's not been very good the last few races, but he started the season very strong indeed. He could pull it back, but is he still, that bad that they need to get rid of him? I'm not quite sure. I don't think he is. I don't think he's reached that level yet. I think he's going through a downward period, but I don't think he's bad enough for them to get rid of him. I really don't. And it all depends, of course, who they want to replace him with, because no doubt Max has a say on who his teammate is, the same as Lewis Hamilton has a say on who his teammate is. So they don't want to get anyone in there who's going to cause a fuss or try and be a hot shot. I mean, Lando Norris, I know a lot of people would love Lando Norris to be in that Red Bull. He would cause a lot of friction between him and Max Verstappen. Anyone with eyes can see that would happen with Lando and Max. There would be a lot of friction in that team, and that is not what Red Bull needs. They do not want any kind of friction in a team. So having Lando in there next year, I don't think is going to work. I think he's still under contract with McLaren anyway, isn't he? So, but yeah, so they'd have to get another teammate for Max who doesn't rock the boat too much, and the pool of people around isn't very big at the moment. There's lots of hot shots, lots of rookies in the waiting, ready to come into Formula One. But Red Bull would not take a chance for that number 2 seat for a rookie. No way, no way. They'd stick them in the Alpha. Well, I say that. They haven't been doing that recently, but they would stick them in the AlphaTauri first, to develop them there before they stuck them in the Red Bull. So in the Red Bull number 2 seat, you would only be looking at some kind of established driver that's already out there. And so it's very difficult. Very difficult. My personal opinion is I think they should see how Sergio goes for the rest of the season and then judge at the end. But I still think he's done enough to keep that seat for 2024. I still think he's done enough. But we will see. Helmut Marko is a very, very strong-willed individual, and he'll make his mind up. And if he thinks that Sergio hasn't done enough, he will be out and someone else will take over. The AlphaTauri team says Will F1 Games has been known as a very difficult car to drive, and some of its weaknesses could expose Ricciardo, but we'll see. Yeah, exactly. Very difficult to drive, which, once again points to chassis problems and stuff like that, and, trying to get the car to turn into the corners, which a tight and twisty circuit like Hungary is going to show up horribly for them. And I do pity the fact that Daniel's making his debut or his return to Formula One at Hungary. Any other circuit on the calendar I would have been happy about, but not Hungary. That's not going to be good, especially for a car that's underperforming anyway. But we will see. We will see what happens. Hello, Plano Plessy. Well to the stream. He says a prediction. Go for it. Ricciardo is going to get into the points on his first race back. Wowzers, me trousers. You know what, Mr. Lionel Plessy? I've written that down. There you go. Daniel, points at Hungary. I will put that next to my PC here, and we will see what happens. That's a very, very bold take. That really is. And I applaud you for that. Really. I'd love to see it as well. And if it does, I'll probably fall out of my chair. But yes, that is a bold take, and we will see what happens. So there you go. Daniel points at Hungary, says Mr. Lionel Plessy. We will see. We will see. I'm definitely not going to say, oh no, that's never going to happen, because who knows? Who knows? You're never going to know to the end of the race. I mean, there could be a big crash at Hungary, which can happen because it's tight and twisty, and so you can have a big crash there, and half the field could get, taken out. So there's really a chance that Daniel could get maybe a 10th or a 9th position. So I'm not going to rule it out. I just think it's going to be a very, very tall order. Very tall order. But we will see. I'm actually excited by that. I like that indeed. Yeah, that is a bold prediction. We will see what happens after Sunday. Lopez says, unfortunately, F1 are so obsessed with him because all I've seen on social media is Ricardo. We get it. He's back. Yeah, it was. And I saw that little video of him returning to the AlphaTauri sort of hospitality area, if you remember, and they were all greeting him and hugging him, and it was literally like Jesus has returned. It was like the second coming of Jesus, and I was like, come on. Has everyone forgotten that he was released? I say released as in sacked, but not. There's two very distinctions between getting released from your contract and getting sacked. If you get released from your contract, it means in the future there's a possibility you can come back in other teams, whereas you can come back in testing and stuff like that. If you get sacked, there's pretty much zero opportunity for you to come back, because if you're sacked, you're gone, But he got released from his McLaren because he was underperforming. He wasn't doing very well. He didn't get released because he was reaching an age where he wasn't getting as fast anymore. No, he's in his early 30s still, isn't he? So that wasn't the issue. I mean, look at Fernando Alonso. If you're going to base both of those drivers, look at Fernando Alonso. So that doesn't cut it for the fact that he's too old now to be in. That's not the case. No, he was underperforming at McLaren compared with Lando. Lando was completely pissing all over him, basically, and so that's why he was released from his contract. So yeah, it was. I didn't get it, and sadly, it was like a slap in the face to Nick de Vries. I mean, then they haven't. I've read people say they haven't even mentioned him anywhere. Not even AlphaTauri have mentioned him. They haven't even said thank you for your contribution of the last. If that was me, I'd say to you. I really would. I'd actually come out on Twitter on my. If I was Nick de Vries, I'd come out on the personal account and say, yeah, thanks for being a bunch of muppets. Well done. Because that's just ridiculous. All you got to do is just say thanks, even if you weren't happy with the person, just say thanks and move on from there. To say nothing and then to start posting videos of Ricardo like, oh yeah, it's not on. Not on. Matthew says Ricardo likes Hungary, but I can't see him finish higher than 12th. There you go. There's Matthew's prediction. Planal says I may refuse to watch the race because of the F1 Juniors broadcast. Can't listen on 5 Live because of bloody Golf and Ashes. Oh God, is that the F1 Juniors broadcast? Oh, that's going to be great, isn't it? Who's going to be doing that? Is it going to be the Teletubbies? Is Tinky Winky going to be doing the commentary? Woo! Oh, Lulu crash! Lulu crash! Oh, poor Lulu! Now I should do a children's commentary for Formula One. if anyone's watching, sign me up. I'll do a children's commentary for Formula One. It'll be epic. It really will, but not in a good way. Matthew says Jenson Button did very well against Lewis Hamilton and outscored him overall when they were teammates. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Plumper says, didn't F1 95 have 6 gears? Yes, it did. Yes. Don't remember the game having 7 gears except from gibberish Murray Walker saying up into 7th. Yeah, it did have 6 gears in F1. I can't remember when it went to 7. I'd have to get some F1 expert to tell me when it went to 7. I can't, blimey, I've got a lot of knowledge, but something like that is definitely not going to, fit into my brain. Oh, when did the cars change to 7 gears? Well, you know what? There is someone out there who would answer such an anal question as that. So we'll ask Mrs. Google. I'm thinking 2005 when the V-Watsits, were at their peak. Before I've actually looked at it. I'm going to say 2005. Now, I haven't got it on the screen yet. Here we go. Let's have a look. Okay, we got a bit of controversy here in the answers. So one says around the year 2000. Another one says since 1994 allowed for 7 gears, but most teams only use 6 since the minimum allowed was 4, which no one used. The V8 engines that were introduced in 2006 all had 7. Right, this one sounds like he knows what he's on about, and I was very close when I said the 2005 era. Yeah. When they brought out the V8 engine, that's when they went to 7. That sounds right. That sounds right. I don't know if this was part of the engine formula, but it seems likely. Before that, some teams ran 6-speed V10s, for example Renault, while others ran 7-speed V10s, for example Ferrari. Ferrari had a long history of 7-speed gearboxes, and they've been using it as far back as 1989, when they started using a semi-automatic transmission. Underneath it says it's 8 now, mother fludgers. I thought it is 8 forward gears, isn't it? So that report I said earlier is actually wrong where it says 7 and 1 reverse. No, it's 8 forward gears and 1 reverse. I thought it was. Come on. Thanks for the info, Smoker. Yeah, that one. Wow, this is a good thread. I don't know. Oh, it's on Reddit. No doubt. All the best stuff's on Reddit. So there you go. So yeah, I'm gonna look at that one in the middle there and say that's the one that's correct. V8 engines, 2006, the 7-speed gearbox. But other teams have been using 7 speeds a lot longer than that. Apparently Ferrari since 1989. Wow, I did not know that. I'm pretty sure though in F1 95 all the cars were 6-speed. I don't remember you being able to go up to 7th speed because obviously for that kind of game way back in the PS1 era, and it was the very first game as well, they would not have put in a system of having different teams running 7 gearboxes because it would have made a lot more time and effort for them to do so. So I'm pretty sure every car had six gears. I might go back and have a little check on that because I haven't played F1 95 for quite a few years now, apart from maybe on a YouTube video, but I would have to check on that. But yeah, I'm pretty sure they would have just standardized it as 6 gears. I can't see them having 7 gears on a very early PS1 Formula 1 game anyway, because they just, they wouldn't have bothered, to be honest. Why would they? Nobody would have noticed a difference anyway, would they? You know, would you have gone, oh, this Ferrari's only got 6 gears, it should have 7? Now, of course, nowadays, everyone and their son would have been moaning about, you know, oh, this livery isn't quite correct. No, you should have that sponsor 2 millimeters higher up on the rear wing diffuser. Yes. Yes, that's what it's all about these days. But back then, in the simple days of 1995, yes, when everything was so much simpler, yes, the birds were singing in the breeze, yes, butterflies were butterflying everywhere. Oh, those days, those glorious days. Everything was just simple for us youngsters. Yes, I was a youngster in those times as well. Yes, I was fairly young, and it was just such a simpler time, wasn't it? Yes, so there was no way that anyone would have complained if the Ferrari didn't have 7 gears on its gearbox. No, they would have said, that's fine. Look, we don't care. We just want to play the game. So there you go. Matthews is my favourite F1 season since 2007. Best season, 2010. Yeah, I agree with you there. Second best, 2009. Yeah, with the Brawn. I'll agree with you there. Third best, 2012. Yes. Fourth best, 2007. Okay, I'll run with you there. Fifth best, 2008. The one thing I'd put 2008 higher would be that last race, of course. But as a season and a whole, yeah, it probably is worthy of 5th place. Yeah, but that last race would probably bump it up into 3rd position, as to be said. I am Patriots in the stream. Hello, sir. He says, Dave. That's me. I'm still here. YouTube haven't banned me yet. I'm still here. Welcome along. Matthew says, Red Bull 118 points clear in the Drivers' Championship, Verstappen to Alonso after 10 races. That's the furthest they've ever been clear, but the regulations were supposed to bring everyone closer. Yes, the regulations were supposed to bring everyone closer, weren't they, Matthew? And if you remember Mr. What's his name? I've forgotten his name. Ross Brawn. Yes, you know, Mr. Ross Brawn. You know, the unofficial boss man, I think, of Formula One. Or he was, anyway. I haven't seen him recently. I don't know what he's up to now. But anyway, he was the one that, you know, did all these regulations and said that, oh, yes, these new cars are going to bring everything closer. And there'll be so much more exciting racing on track. You'll have people constantly overtaking each other. And where's that gone then? What has happened to that, Ross? What has happened to that? Because basically it hasn't worked, has it? It really, these 2022 cars, which are now 2023 cars, but it's, you know, it's based on the 22 new regulations. They just really haven't worked. Not how I'm sure Ross Brawn was expecting them to work, with the ground effect cars and the fact that, you know, you'll be able to overtake a lot more. That just hasn't happened at all. I've not seen any difference really between these cars, the 22 cars, and the 21 cars, to be honest. The only difference we had last year, of course, was the porpoising, which really got up everyone's nose and everyone was getting really fed up with it by the end. Thankfully, that's now gone, so they've sorted that problem out, so that's good. But apart from that, I just don't see it. I don't see all this overtaking either. I mean, the overtakes are only DRS overtakes. No, there's no natural overtakes in the race. I don't see. You look at the first 3 laps of any race, there's hardly any overtakes. They're all just sitting there waiting for the DRS flap to be opened so they can overtake. And that's what I've always complained about DRS, why it's a stupid system. It really is, because, you know, I just think they should run one race somewhere that's not too tight and twisty, but not flat out straights either. Sort of a compromise circuit. I think that's just one. They should run one race with no DRS and see what happens. That's my, you know, thing anyway. They should just do. I mean, they've got all these other stupid gimmicks like sprint race weekends and what have you. Surely they could. I mean, it's very easy to implement, isn't it? You just turn off the DRS so it doesn't work on every car. So it's not something that needs any effort whatsoever, because the DRS is controlled, I think, by the FIA anyway, isn't it? Race control, they're the ones that control the DRS. So all they got to do is, switch the system off. So that's it, no DRS. And I'd love them to do one race and just see how that race went. Because I think it would probably end up more exciting than the races that we got now. I really do. I really do. Because people would have to naturally pass. Now, of course, it could end up as a horrible situation where nobody can pass anyone and they just basically sit single file for the whole race. That is also a possibility. But I don't think that would happen. I really don't. But yeah, I'd love to see one race, no DRS, just see what happens. Will says 2012 the best season this century in my opinion. Quite possibly. 2009 lacked a proper title battle. Yeah, it did. And of course, once again we started at the beginning of the 2009 season with total dominance with Jenson Button, which very quickly eroded into, oh my God, am I still going to win this championship because everyone's catching up with me? Yes, very, very quickly. That's how that turned out. But at the start of it, it was total dominance. No one could touch the Brawn car, and it was unbeatable. And of course, Adrian Newey suddenly worked out, what's that thing at the back of their car? What's that? Here, go and send Bob over to have a look at that. And then Bob went and had a look at it. He came back and says, that's called a double rear diffuser. Is it? I'm back off to the factory. I'll see you in 3 weeks. And so he went back to the factory, basically copied the rear diffuser exactly, which, what can you do if you copy someone else's homework? Not a lot, It was just the pure fact that Ross Brawn got the regulations down to a T in 2009. And for once, Adrian Newey, I don't know, went off the boil, who knows? Made a mistake, who knows? But he didn't get that car exactly the same as the Brawn, and he completely missed the double rear diffuser, which was the thing that made that Brawn such a powerful car. Really did. And of course he went off 3 weeks, made his own little double rear diffuser, and then whoa, Red Bull suddenly boost in performance, and then all the other teams were copying all the homework, and it was just a complete mess. And Jenson Button still won the championship, but it was very, very close in the end. And I'm pretty sure he was panicking. He was in those last races. You could hear him in his voice. I remember that radio transmission when he said, how can this car now be so slow? Well, it wasn't. It wasn't slow at all. What it was that all the other teams had got the double rear diffuser and caught up. That's all it was. If they'd have had that from the start, the Brawn love story that started at the end of the season, and everyone still loves that story, me included, that someone could come out of nowhere, basically nowhere, from a Honda, from the ruins of Honda, which had basically, it was a car wreck by the end of the 2008 season, and to come back and do that, it's just, that's just like, it's a love story that's never going to be repeated, I don't think, in Formula One, not now, and the way the Formula One set out with the regulations. So yeah, it's great to see, but as I say, whew, that was a close one towards the end. Vettel should have won 2009, just too many mistakes early on in the season and reliability cost them. Webber lost his chance from European Grand Prix after being second in Championship after Hungary. Yeah, I agree. But as I say, if they'd have had that rear diffuser sorted at the start of the season, it would have been, I'm pretty sure it would have been a Vettel title. Pretty sure. Hello, Scott. Welcome to the stream. He says, I disagree. Logan's been decent. Well, thank you for disagreeing with me. As you know, I always love it when people disagree with me and say, no, you chump. So thank you for your opinion. It's always welcome on this channel. I'm not someone who's going to say, no, go away, you chump. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, and you disagree, and that's fine. Thank you very much. But sadly scored nothing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Matthew says, try to watch the 2009 season review from Red Bull's perspective. You can see they definitely should have done better that year since they've won every championship battle apart from 2021 constructors. Yeah. KDF1, hello, welcome to the streets. What have I missed so far? Just an old man talking shit. So, not a lot. Yes, not a lot. He says Ricardo will fail to score a single point in remaining races and will be beaten by Yuki. As for Perez, he'll stay purely as there aren't any other decent options. Yeah, that's exactly what I said earlier in the stream. I can't see anyone, as I say, they're not going to pick a rookie and put them in the Red Bull. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. But they'll put them in the AlphaTauri first and then, promote them to the Red Bull, and to try and sort of look around to see who's about. There's really not that many drivers, established, names that they could put in that car. So I really just think that Perez is the best option, and they should just leave him alone, at least for 2024 anyway. After that, see how it goes. But just leave him in there for 2024 because he's still doing a good job. He's just been off form for the last few races, but I'm sure he'll put it together. Matthew says, Helmet Marco makes Emperor Palpatine look like Dominic Galante. He does indeed. He really has got that Palpatine vibe, hasn't he? Yes. I'd hate to be in that kind of environment. It's just, it must be so toxic. You're basically like a performing seal. You have got to do well every single session you go out, and it's not just the fact you've got to do well. You know that people are watching your every move. That's just horrible. You should be in a situation where you're comfortable enough to know that your abilities are good enough that the team, are saying, yeah, you're doing fine, no problem. But to actually be in a situation where you're looking over your shoulder every 5 seconds and people are watching you, they're watching all of your lap times in the practice sessions, in the qualifying, they're watching those times. They're comparing those times to your teammate. They're doing all that just to see if you're good enough. I mean, that's just such a toxic environment. It really is. And, that can make or break you. So I can understand why Nick has done so badly, if that's been the case, that he's being watched. And obviously he's been sacked. I'm pretty sure if they follow the rules of sacking people, that you don't sack someone straight away. So he's probably already had 3 warnings already before he got the sack, because that's usually what happens in any kind of employment. You get warnings first, and the only time you get sacked is if you've done something grossly wrong, like you've done something inappropriate. That's when you get sacked on the spot. But in terms of performance and your level of work within a team, he would have had warnings before he got sacked, either verbal warnings or written warnings. That happens in all workplaces. So he would have had to, and I do believe that's a legal requirement as well. So it's, so he would have had warnings before saying you've really got to pick your pace up. So just imagine that, from 4 or 5 races ago, he's already had 2 warnings. So he knows his job's on the line, and it's just horrible conditions to try and do your job in. And then you go out there and you end up last on the practice timesheets, and you're just like, oh God, because you've gone out there and you've given it your best, you really have, and you still end up last. What can you do? What can you do? Absolutely nothing. So yeah, not good for Nick. If Hamilton wins the race, can I have your TB bear? TB, somebody wants you. About time someone did. Matt says if Lewis Hamilton wins, he wants you. Can he have you? What do you mean, yes? No, you're my bear. My bear. No, you don't go out to other places. It's disgusting as well. I mean, I don't know whether you come back with your trousers on. No, you stay here where it's safe. No, we're not farming you out to viewers of my channel. So there you go, Matt. He says yes. God, I hope Lewis doesn't win. I hope Lewis, did he say win? Oh, win. God, that's going to be a pretty tall order, isn't it? I think you're safe. I think you're safe, lad. Yeah, I think you're safe. That's going to be a very tall order. Unless Mac's engine blows up. I still think it's going to be a tall order because you've still got George Russell as well, and you've got who else? Because you got, I would say Sergio Perez, but the Ferrari lads, they could get up there if Max's engine blew up, couldn't they? So yeah, it's still going to be Oh, Fernando Alonso. Yes. Oh my God, I forgot about him. He could be up there as well. Yeah, I think we're safe. I think we're safe. KDF1 says, Philip Schofield and Hugh... Should I read any more of this? Should I read any more of this? Hello, Mr. YouTube guy watching this video right now and checking it to make sure it's fine. It's fine. I haven't said... Let me just read it in my head first and see if I can read it. Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We can read that out. That's not... Phillips... Philip Schofield and Hugh Edwards... Stop it. Stop it now. Philip Schofield and Hugh Edwards have been signed to do the F1 Juniors commentary. Boom, boom, says Basil. Yes. I'd like to see that, actually. I would like to see that. Yes, I would. And you know what they say? That is very cruel, but possibly very true as well. Yes. Unbelievable. Helium Trophy, hello sir, welcome to the stream. He says from V10 to V8, I think. Yes, we established that with our little Reddit forum thread, which was very nasty. But yeah, it looked like when they went to the V8s, that's when everyone got the 7-speed gearbox. As they said, there's been other teams with 7-speed for quite a few years. I didn't know Ferrari had been there since '89 with a 7-speed box. Bloody hell. But there you go. I seriously don't remember the Ferrari in F1 95 being 7-speed. I don't think it was. I'm going to go back and check that now. Because I'm having a nerdgasm. I've really got to check that out now. But I'm pretty sure it was only a 6-speed box, as I say, because they wouldn't have bothered, back in them days. Why would they? The graphics were made from bits of twigs and string. Why would they say, oh, let's make sure the Ferrari's got a 7-speed gearbox in it, because otherwise everyone will notice. No, they won't, because it was the 90s and no one cared. No one, unlike these days when it's just, as I say, ridiculous. There's more to a race than overtaking. That is true. That is very true. KDF1 says, what's happened to the regs is that the teams have figured out how to get some of the aero back and made their cars more difficult to overtake as to what happens to any set of regulations eventually. Yeah, that is true. That is true. That's what they've done. But it's just sad to see. Hello, JW97. Welcome to the stream. He says, it's not going to be on Sky F1. F1 Juniors will be on Sky Mix and YouTube. Sky Mix. Sky Mix. What a channel to add that on, eh? Sky Mix. And YouTube. Well, that's not surprising. You get some very funny stuff on YouTube. Yeah, very funny stuff you get on YouTube. There's this channel, he does F1 stuff. Can't remember what his name is. Very funny stuff. Very funny. Not funny in a good way. Funny in a, oh my God. What the hell's that? Yes. What was it he did on there once? I can't remember. This female career mode. I can't remember what it was called now. Oh, that's right. The Carmen Jorda career. That was very dodgy. That was. I don't know how YouTube managed to pass that, but I'll tell you, I watched about half an episode of that, and I still get nightmares. There was one where he was stuck in a dungeon or something, and I don't know, and he was being tortured, but it was very nasty, very nasty. So yeah, don't watch any of that. Please don't watch any of that. That's horrible. Helium Trophy says, might as well turn off radio communications while they're at it. Yeah, might as well. I just can't believe the bloody F1, what is it? Juniors. Hosted by Tinky Winky. Unbelievable. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I mean, I can understand getting, younger people into the sport, but this is just, it's a step too far. It's a step too far. It really is. It really is, I'm going to see if I can find out if I can get hold of the comment. Well, it might be on YouTube when the race is over. I'll see if I can see that commentary, because that I'd like to react to the commentary, because that will make a good YouTube video. I'm sure it would. So if I can find that, and if anyone after Sunday can send me a link if they see it on the internet somewhere about the F1 Juniors, it doesn't have to be the whole thing. Maybe someone's done a couple of clips of it. Send it to me and or send me the link, and I'll see if I can make it, because that is going to make a great video of me critiquing the F1 Juniors. Really is. I can't wait, in fact. So hopefully it'll be somewhere for free that I can watch it on. KDF1 says, actually, it's more to do with the floor raising due to the porpoising, not the aero. There you go. That reminds me, wasn't there supposed to be a Disney Plus documentary about the 2009 season? Or am I... No, you're not dreaming. There was supposed to be. Wasn't that supposed to be narrated by Keanu Reeves, if I remember rightly? Wasn't Mr. Matrix Man doing the narration for that? Because I remember seeing him on the TV being interviewed by someone. I'm going to say Martin Brundle, but I don't think it could have been, because I only watched Channel 4. So it might have been Coulthard. That's right, it was. It was David Coulthard. Yes, that was a while ago now. I think that was the 22 season, or maybe in the 21 season. And he said, yeah, I'm making a documentary for Disney. Well, perhaps I didn't get around to actually making it due to the fact that Disney's currently £800 million a year in the hole right now. So, yeah, anyone who watches Disney Plus or has got it on streaming, the word around the street is that Disney Plus could be gone soon. So, pretty sad, because I do watch a lot of the Disney stuff, being a complete sci-fi nerd. So I'm pretty sad about that. But it does look like Disney Plus could be disappearing, because they're losing £800 million a year, and no company on the earth can afford to keep losing that and to keep carrying on losing that. They've been in negotiations to try and sell Disney to Apple TV, so Apple doesn't take it over. It still becomes Disney, but it gets amalgamated into one big company, because Apple's got a lot more resources, and they've got a huge user base in China, which is a market that Disney's been trying to break into but haven't been able to, unfortunately. So that would help Disney as well, or at least Disney Plus. I'm not saying Disney hasn't been in China, because but Disney Plus, and so that would help them. But unfortunately, they've been sort of blocked by the Monopolies Commission, because they say that two big companies merging like that is going to cause problems with competition, basically, with the other streamers like Netflix and Paramount Plus, because you might. That's what happened with Microsoft a few years ago, because the company got so big that they were asked to break it down into smaller chunks because there was just no competition. So it could be the same with Disney. So unfortunately, I don't know what the solution is. In the short term, Disney will still be on. In the long term, it may end up closing. Yes, could end up closing. So anyway, we will see what happens. JW97 says, if Merck don't throw a tantrum, we wouldn't be having these issues. That's true. That's true. There was supposed to be, but yes. John Wick was supposed to direct it. That was him. Yeah, Keanu Reeves. Yes. Helium Trophy says, Mercedes and its fans have gone from smug, entitled gits to 8-year-old girls throwing a tantrum. Yes, they have. It's just ridiculous, these Mercedes. It's just, It's funny how they were so smug when they were winning those races as well, wasn't it? So smug. Toto was just the ultimate in Mr. Smugness, wasn't he? Really? Oh my God, he was just so smug. He really was, I'm the best. I've got the best team in the world right now. I can't do a Toto Wolff, but you know what I'm saying. And he was so smug. And now, because they're not winning races, there's just this element of bitterness creeping in as well, isn't there? There's a lot of bitterness. And Toto, he just seems very, very angry these days. Very, very angry. I just love the bit where he told Lewis to shut up and drive the car. Was it last week or the week before? That was a great bit of TV entertainment for me. Yes, just shut up, Lewis, and drive. We know the car's a piece of crap. Just drive it and stop. Because that's the trouble with Lewis. He can't be concentrated on what he's doing. He's got to be concentrating on what everyone else is doing. The stewards, marshals, everything is all in Lewis's head. Whereas he should just get in that car and concentrate about his race, which he doesn't. You know, he's always concerned about everything else going on. Just forget about that. Just get on with the job. Maybe you might do a little bit better, Lulu. Just a fault. But yeah, the bitterness is just ridiculous. And, you know, I've got nothing against Red Bull whatsoever. I've got no sort of love of any of the teams or drivers. I used to have back in the day, but these days I really haven't got a favourite driver. So Max is just doing exactly what Max is doing. What's he supposed to do? As I've said previously, is he supposed to just slow down and catch up? Of course not. So he just drives the car, wins the race, and that's it. There's nothing else you can do in that situation. So nothing against Max. But yeah, the bitterness from Mercedes has been very bad. Very bad indeed. I wouldn't say sore losers. Well, no, I would say sore losers, because that's the attitude they're projecting at the moment to everyone, that, you know, oh no, this is not right. This is not right. Well, you know, make the car a little bit better, Toto, and then maybe you'll start, you know, beating the Red Bulls. Who knows? Yes. And I mean, let's face it, you haven't got two drivers in that team who are at their top. No, I've never rated George Russell, to be honest, as a brilliant driver. He's a good driver. Yeah, he's not a great driver. Definitely not a great driver. And Lewis Hamilton, of course, is in the twilight of his career, even though he's only 38 and he could possibly have another couple of years. I think he's burned out. I think Lulu is burnt out. He's been racing since he was 8 years old, for cock's sake. 8 years old he's been racing in karts, and all through his good years. I've said that, you know, I said him previously that he's wasted his best years. He hasn't wasted them, because, you know, he was a Formula One driver, which is, you know, a lot of us could only dream about being a Formula One driver. So he hasn't wasted them, but, you know, what I'm saying is he's used the best of his years as a driver. And I just think that Lewis, he's just burnt out. He just looks finished. He looks done. He just looks like, you know, I just don't want to do this anymore. Even though he says exactly the opposite, that he's still got, you know, determination and spirit, and of course he's going to say that, because he still wants the paycheck at the end of every month, doesn't he? So he's going to say that, otherwise the team will just get rid of him. No driver's going to turn around and say, I'm done with this, guys. I don't know if I can carry on, to be honest. No driver on the player's going to do that, are they? Have you ever heard a driver say that? Never. No, they'll wait until they get, you know, dismissed by the team before that happens. So he's always going to say in interviews that he's got determination, his motivation's just as strong as ever. But, you know, away from that, I just think Lewis is done. I just think he's done, and I think he should retire. And I think he should retire. Surely he must have enough money saved up to give him a very comfortable life for his 38 years onwards. He surely must. And it doesn't mean that, you know, he's going to stop and start sign on the dole, you know, the moment he stops. That's not going to happen. I mean, he's got lots of other interests. He's got those fashion interests. He probably started his own, well, I think he probably has, I can't remember, start his own fashion line. So he's, you know, he can get money from that. And of course, you know, there's always opportunities for ex-world champions to make money anyway. So he's not going to sit there and, you know, not, as soon as he leaves Formula One, not make a penny. But I do believe he should just go into retirement and maybe have a couple of years off from motor racing entirely. Recharge the batteries. Go and have a bloody long holiday for like 6 months and just sit on a beach or whatever and just recharge yourself, and then come back and maybe try and do something in motorsport. Not Formula One, obviously, but, you know, something else. That's what I think he should do. Because I say he just looks knackered. I mean, Fernando Alonso, he disappeared for a few years and then came back again. And when he came back, he looked fresh, he looked recharged, and he looked ready to go again. Okay, but Lewis just looks a bit like Michael Schumacher in 2012. He looks like Michael looked like he was finished after, you know, retiring and then coming back again. When he first came back in, I think it was 2010, he looked really fresh and, you know, ready for the challenge, and he was really excited. By the time the end of 2012 came along, he was looking really tired and fed up, and that was it for him. And that, I feel, is how Lewis looks at the moment. So I think he should just, go and recharge his batteries. He won't, of course. He'll be back in Formula One next year. We all know that. But just my opinion, I think he should just go away and recharge and then come back and do something else. But, from 8 years old to 38 years old, that's a 30 years of constant grinding, constant racing round racetracks, constantly trying to get sponsors, trying to get the money in the early days, which is very hard to come by. His dad, God knows the things he had to do. I've got a book up there about Lewis Hamilton's story. Yes, I've got a book about Lulu. Yes, and it's an autobiography. It's a very early autobiography though. It came out, I think, in 2007, but it covers his very early years and what his dad had to do and what he had to sell. I mean, his dad used to sell Jenson Button's dad the go-kart engines. Yeah, that's what he used to do back in the early days. Yeah, so Lewis Hamilton drove his go-kart with an engine supplied by John Button, Lewis Button's father. Yeah, Jenson Button's father. So yeah, it was great to see that. And so that's what I think you should do. Just hang it up and say, no, I need a long holiday now. Because 30 years is a long time, especially in top-line motorsports. Especially in top lines, that's a very long time to be doing anything. I mean, it's all right for us sitting here, either doing desk jobs or, going out, whatever it is we're doing. But to actually being subjected to all that G-force, it really does take a strain on you. It really does. And I just think you should take a very long holiday. Delaware97 says Verstappen is 99 points clear of Perez. Also, they are, but it doesn't just happen straight away. Look behind Red Bull. McLaren are now fighting with Ferrari, Mercedes and Aston. Yes, very true indeed. I do think the gap is closing, and once the wind tunnel reduction kicks in for them, which will mainly affect their 2024 car, we might see it be closer. You can't just scrap them after 2 seasons because a team is dominating. Like with other regulations, teams will close up naturally. Matthew says, Mark Webber hated helmet marker for Turkey 2010. Yes, you did. KGF1 says, got any other old magazines to show us like you did a few episodes ago? No, I got a few complaints over that one, actually. Yeah, so I won't be doing it anymore. I have got lots of old magazines to show you, but no, I got a few complaints after the last one, so yeah, we'll give it a miss. I will try and dig out some more though, but maybe a few tasteful ones. January 97 says F1 had 6 gears throughout the 90s. 2000 was the first year teams went to 7th gear. Renault kept the 6-gear gearbox right up to the beginning of the V8 era in 2006. There you go. 2014 was the first year with the 8 gears. Yeah, that was because of the new hybrid engines, because the torque curve was a whole lot higher, wasn't it, for the hybrid engines? So they could that to offset that by having 8 gears, which was, as I said at the time, the only good thing about F1 2014, the game, was the fact that you had eight gears in the car, because it was just something different, Helium Travel says Nico Rosberg's going to be there with the kids. Jesus, this really is getting dodgier by the minute. Yes, it really is. Yes, just another week in England, as we like to say. Yes. England certainly getting a very dodgy... Mind you, it's not just England. It's just the fact that we're in England and we hear about it. This kind of thing with like TV presenters. This is happening all over the world. It's not just England. It's just that, we're the only ones, because we're in England, we hear about it. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it happens everywhere. I mean, just look at Donald Trump in the USA having to pay all that money to a stripper or whatever. So yeah, it happens everywhere. It's just, as I say, we hear it over here because we're in England, so it's it's what they call important to us as a country, whereas other places around the world have also got this going on. I'm pretty sure, but of course we don't hear about it because as far as we're concerned, it's not newsworthy enough to us as more than Philip Schofield being... I'm being careful now. I'm being quite naughty, and Hugh Hugh, Barney Magoo, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub. That was a very old children's TV show, yes. What was that called? Trumpton, that was it, Trumpton, yeah. Oh my God, I remember that show. Hugh, Barney Magoo. It was about firefighting. Was it just firefighters? I can't remember. But they had some firefighters and they were called Hugh, Barney Magoo, Cuthbert, Dibble and Grub. Those were the days. Those were the days. I can't comment on Hugh Edwards because nobody knows what's happened. It's all gone quiet, hasn't it? Nobody knows. I mean, apparently he's in hospital with a serious mental problem. So, you know, I'm not going to say anything about that whatsoever. So who knows what happened there. No doubt the truth will come out in due course, but definitely not at the moment while Hugh is obviously still in hospital. And by the sounds of it, it sounds like he's pretty bad. So, yeah, no comments here right now. We'll find out later on whether it's worthy of some comedy. But at the moment, of course, with someone in hospital, it's not. So, yeah, it's just very, very strange situation. Especially, you know, I've listened to Hugh for years and years and years on, you know, the TV, watching him on the news and radio and stuff like that. So, very strange situation. Very strange indeed. And nobody actually knows exactly what the story is. Nobody knows. The only person that knows the story is Hugh Edwards. And we'll just have to wait until he gets better. And I hope he does get better because mental illness is not anything to be laughed about whatsoever. So I hope he does get better. And I hope he does come back and actually tell the story and tell everyone what has actually happened. Because it's a very bizarre situation, very bizarre indeed. I can't even make a comment because, you know, I mean, anyone from the outside looking in, it looks very bad. It looks very bad indeed. But I don't know. Until we know the facts and what's happened, we'll have to wait and see what happens. But it's gone very quiet. You know, I mean, that was all over the news for about a week, and now there's been nothing. Anyway, hopefully Hugh will be okay in hospital. Let's hope so anyway. Nico Rosberg and Danica Patrick. Fucking hell. Yes. My sentiments exactly. I did see Danica Patrick. She was on, I think, the Channel 4 coverage the other week. Yes. Nice. Also, when are we going to start the calls? Yeah, I should start. Buddy, I've been on 1 hour 32 minutes. When Dave opens up a call centre. He make the Indian call centres look useful by comparison. Yes. Disney Plus will be fine. That will be barely a dent in the losses they have. Oh, okay. I'll stop worrying them. I can keep watching me whatever it is I watch on there. I can't remember. I quite like the magazine, to be honest. And no, not because of that reason. It was a good magazine. Loaded magazine was actually had a very undeserved reputation. But if you get past the smutty bits, which obviously it had because that was to draw, you know, men to buy it, which is understandable. You get past the smutty bits. It had a very interesting stuff in there, I'll tell you. You know, for men, very interesting stuff in between all the smut. Very interesting stuff. So yeah, not a bad magazine, all in told. I didn't buy that magazine, by the way. Here's a nerdy fact you probably won't know. That came free with another magazine I used to buy, which was called PSW, which was a PlayStation magazine. And they used to give away free DVDs of like reviews of games, little demos of games, and here is PSW Volume 3. I've got them all sitting down here on a big reel. Look. Where's the camera gone? It's over there. Look, I've got loads of them. That's only just a little handful. They're literally like... Oh, bloody hell, I'm dropping them now. They're literally like that deep. Yeah, so these were given away. Now this admittedly isn't very imaginative. You know, you look at that and that's not very imaginative. But later on they started, you know, in the age of printing, they started getting more imaginative with the disc labels. As you can see, this was only volume 3. This is volume 81 of PSW. Okay, and you know it started to get more imagination. Look, we got another one there. What is that? Is that The Rock? I think that's The Rock. Yes, that's The Rock. So yeah, and this one has got some kind of car. Looks like a midnight club racing, whatever. And of course, this one here has got a oh my goodness! It's got a yes. Now we're getting into my territory. We got a very attractive. Now I do happen to know that this is not smut. This is a WWE wrestler back in the day, and I think this was about 2000 and something or other, 2003. Trust me, that's a WWE wrestler. Yeah, don't ask me her name. I never watched WWE, but yeah, that was her. So that's why she's on the cover. It's not just a gratuitous young lady put on the cover with very little clothes on just to make you buy the magazine. That was not the issue at all. So yeah. So anyway, I'm waffling on. So they used to put these discs on, and Loaded was actually made by the same people who made PSW, same publishing company. Can't remember what it was called now. It's a long time ago, but they were made by the same publishing company. So a couple of times a year, when you used to buy this magazine, and the magazine used to come in a massive, like, plastic cover, they used to stick a copy of Loaded for free in there with it. So there you go. I never actually bought the magazine Loaded, so it just came free with my PlayStation magazine. PlayStation magazine. Yes, I bet that went down well with all the school kids that bought that back in the day, because obviously it wouldn't have been on the top shelf, because I remember the Loaded magazine was behind the PlayStation magazine, so you couldn't see it. So it said, PlayStation magazine, and in little tiny letters at the bottom it said, with free Loaded magazine. So yeah, all the kids back in that day, they must have had a field day with that, because as I say, it wasn't top shelf stuff, but it was pretty risque, but not, that bad. I think the Sun was a bit distasteful of the coverage of it. Yeah, I think they were. As I say, so many stories. The Sun's been backtracking on it and saying, we never even said it was Hugh Edwards, and it's just a complete and utter mess. It really is a complete and utter mess. And yeah, someone needs to come out now. Hugh Edwards, to be honest, he needs to come out now and say exactly what went on. If it was as bad as everyone says, then, obviously he'll end up like Philip Schofield has, and he'll be censored off of, the mainstream media, and will never come back again. But, if it turns out it was the result of a severe mental breakdown, are you gonna persecute? Yeah, all right, I know, even under that situation, he must have known what he was doing to give someone, was it 35 grand for showing pictures of his willy, by the sounds of it. But, from what I know, the bloke was 23 years old. So, although Hugh's 61, and we as a society are looking at that and going, "Ugh, that's yucky," which, yeah, it is. It's not illegal. So, legally, there's no case against Hugh whatsoever. The only thing is, as I say, is society's views that's 61 and 23 is yucky. That's all it is. That's all it comes down to. But if you look at what's his name, the bloke on YouTube, what's his name, Jonathan Pye. If you look at Jonathan Pye's video about Hugh, he basically sums the whole thing up absolutely brilliantly. In fact, I've not seen a better video from Jonathan Pye before, so go check that out about Hugh Edwards. It's only on for about 5 minutes, I think, but yeah, he summed it up perfectly about, there is no case to answer for, because, the law is there to protect minors. It's not there to protect 23-year-olds if they want to accept 35 grand in cash to show, a famous TV personality their willy. That's not what the law's there for. It's purely there to protect children, people under the age, and that's how it should be. But if you're 23 years old, there's nothing you can do about it. There's absolutely nothing you can do about it. As I say, it's yucky. It sounds sordid, but it's not illegal. And to these people, and looking at it now, it looks like Hugh, I think, was bisexual. I know he was married, but a lot of bisexual people are married. It looks like he was bisexual. And he sort of kept that under wraps, it looks like anyway. Sort of kept that a secret, as a lot of bisexuals do, unfortunately. So it looks like he was bisexual. So, you know, to him, that kind of thing is perfectly normal. And to the 23-year-old, that's perfectly normal as well. You know, so yeah, it's all very, very strange. Very, very strange. And hopefully we'll get the full story. Anyway, time for calls. Button and Braun were just on the first 7 races of 2009. Red Bull had a lot of reliability issues that season as well. Button got quite lucky, in my opinion. Yes, they did. Right, okay. Bloody hell. 1 hour 39. Yeah, let's do some quick calls before I disappear. Put that over there. Right, let's have a look and see. Let's go to the main chat. Excuse me while I get rid of a load of people. I only have 8 on the chat. That one. That one. That one. That one. That one. Right, let's have a look. Thankfully I did test before I came on air to make sure the chat was working. Yes. Pick up the phone. We'll try this. If we don't get any answer to that, we'll try Mr. Dominic Orlando. And if not, we'll call it a day. Come on, pick up the phone. Don't you know how famous I am? Not. Now, of course, last week, if anyone was watching the stream, we had a special appearance by the plant pot himself and baby Emily. So that was good. I doubt it will happen again this week, though, because that's a very rare appearance. Mr. Plant Pot only puts an appearance in about twice every year. Yes, it's in his contract. He has to make appearances twice a year, so that's what he does. But, you know, he only does the bare minimum that's required. So, yeah, I doubt we'll see Mr. Plant Pot again tonight. La 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 la. Answer the phone. Matthew's just going to give Las Vegas circuits and practice tonight. Yeah. Good luck with that, Matt. I don't like it. Horrible circuit. Horrible. Horrible, horrible, horrible. I should just interview TB, shouldn't I? Hello, TB. Welcome to the show. So tell me, do you think Lewis Hamilton's going to win the title this year? Whoa, slow down, TB. You're talking too fast. Come on. People aren't going to keep up with that. What's that? No, speak up a little bit. They can't quite hear you at the back. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, what am I doing? Matthew says, never driven it. Is it like Singapore? It's like Singapore, but nowhere near as good. But yeah, it is very similar. There's one very sharp left-hand turn, which really spoils the circuit. I can't remember where it is on the circuit, but it's really, really sharp, Matt, and it's horrible. And unless you get it right, and it's one of those turns where 6 or 7 times you go through it, and each time you sort of don't quite know where to go to get your car placed to get the corner. It's horrible. You do get used to it after about 6 or 7 goes, but yeah, you'll see the turn I mean. Just give that a go, and yeah, it's very bad. That's the thing that spoils it the most for you. The rest of the circuit's not too bad, I have to say. It is a bit like Singapore, but I do prefer Singapore as a circuit a lot more than Las Vegas. It's definitely got a lot more going for it. Las Vegas just seems, I don't know, a bit mere to me. But yeah, you'll know the turn when you come up to it. I say you'll need about 5 or 6 goes to actually perfect it, because you think you're going off one way and you're not. You've got to sort of go round a little bit to come off, and yeah, it's just very bizarre, very bizarre. And if you don't get it right, you actually smash straight into the wall. So yeah, that's something to look out for. I'll just give them another minute, because there is 8 people that I'm ringing right now, so you know, possibility. Oh, that's it. It's cut me off, so that's it. Right, we'll just try. Mr. Orlando. If not, we'll call it a day. By the way, Dom was really excited the other day and sent a message in our chat, because Canada is going to be in Gran Turismo 7 apparently, and of course being a Canadian, he was wicked excited, really, really, he was gushing with excitement. Oh lads, he's going, lads, Canada's going to be in GT7, really stoked, he said, really stoked. He was happy, poor chap. But yeah, he was happy about that. So yeah, if anyone doesn't know yet, Canada's going to be in GT7. Field spread might be quite large on Monday. Yeah, it could be. I predict there will be a crash on Monday, Matt. Basically because everyone doesn't know the circuit very well. Not because, we want to have a crash, but I just feel there will be a crash on Monday because we don't know the circuit. Just answer the phone to us. Yeah, exactly. Bloody Canadians. Answer the bloody phone. They say no. He says no, I'm not going to. Bugger off, he says. Bugger off. Now, last few weeks I've been ringing him, it cuts off straight away, so I presume he has his phone switched off. So I presume he's got his phone switched on. But let me just tell you, okay, on Fridays, I think he goes to this Christian mingle thing. I don't know what it is. It's some kind of Christian dating site or whatever. So I think that's what he might be up to. Or he goes to church, I think, on Fridays because he plays drums in a church band or something like that. Anyway, so he might be doing that, or he might be working making cookies because he works in a bakery. Yeah, he's a master baker. Okay, that's a no for the calls tonight. Right, thanks so much for watching everyone tonight. You have been awesome as always. Enjoy the Grand Prix on Sunday at Hungary. And Mr. Lionel Plessy, I still have written here, Daniel points at Hungary. You saw it here first, everyone. You saw it here first. Points at Hungary. Wowzers me trousers. I'm excited. I want that to happen now. I want that to happen. So yeah, thanks to that. And bloody Jesus fearing simp. Will Dickie Dom hurry out and answer before we all grow old and grow grey and old like Dave? Yeah, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. Bloody hell. Bloody hell. I was a young man when I started YouTube. Look at me now. Bloody Jesus fearing simp. Love it, love it. Anyway, thanks so much for watching tonight, everyone. You've been awesome as always. Listen to me rumble on about all things Formula One, usually in the good old days of Formula One, not the modern ones, which is the sort of scope that I like to go to. And of course, my TV ramblings and Hugh Edwards, and it's just all amalgamated into one. Anyway, thanks everyone. Thanks to KDF1, Matthew 7657, Will F1 Gaming. Let's hope it goes up far enough. Helium Trophy, JW97, Matthew 7657 was in there as well. Plunel Plessy, of course. And who else did we have? Scott Barnes, hello Scott, he was in there. Iron Patriot was in there as well. Thank you, sir. Did I say Plunel Plessy? I think I did. And Will F1 Gaming. Did I say Will F1? Well, if I didn't then, I just have now. So well done to everyone tonight. And that's it. So thank you everyone. You have been awesome as always. And I'll catch you on Sunday for the All Seasons. And enjoy the race at Hungary on Sunday, where you heard it here first. Daniel Ricciardo is going to get points at Hungary. That's a cast iron guarantee for Mr. Lionel Plessy. Can it be Sunday now? Can it really be Sunday now? Because I want to see that happen now. I want to see that happen. That'll be a dream, won't it? A dream come true. Anyway, that's enough for me. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. You've been awesome as always, and I'll catch you in the next video. Thank you, and good night.